This is the Women of Wonder podcast, where we help women tap into their superpowers. Hello, we're here in sunny California, Los Angeles, with the amazing Dr. Sam Rader. So happy to be here with you. Dr. Sam Rader is a former psychologist, the founder of Source Code, and is creating meaningful opportunities for people to go inward and really go into the quantum as well, and heal self and get to know the authentic self. So welcome. Actually, I should say thank you for having us. We're in her home.
Welcome.
So beautiful.
So beautiful.
So beautiful. And
this is Pen.
Pen, hello, beautiful Pen, your beautiful cat. Let's talk a bit about, for the people watching, maybe give us a synopsis of who you are and the work you do.
Sure. So like Nisha said, I practiced psychology for about 18 years. And I started noticing these patterns across all my clients, especially in the last 10 years, where it was like everyone I saw, no matter their walk of life, no matter who they were all talking about the same 12 problems. And so I started to notice, wow, we think we have so many diverse problems and so many diverse diagnoses, but it's actually just 12 things.
Wow.
And those 12 things, well, first of all, we all have several of them. Yeah. And I call them our coping styles. And they develop in our first 5 years of life when we don't get exactly what we need at each stage of development. And how our coping styles marry together creates the unique patterns that keep recurring in our lives. So what I've learned over the last 13 years how to do is to dissolve and resolve these patterns at the root.
Wow.
So I no longer identify as a psychologist. And now I just help people shift these patterns in the quantum, which means the work is much quicker, much deeper, much more gentle, much more profound, and much more effective than any other style of coaching or therapy I've come into contact with.
Okay, well, firstly, this sounds amazing to be able to do it faster and go right in.
Yeah.
And interesting, when you say go into the quantum, can you go into some explanation of that? Because
Absolutely.
I think people hear the term, but what does it mean?
Yeah, so I practiced this technique of source code in the field of psychology for 10 years, and I taught many licensed and unlicensed therapists how to work in this technique because I was supervising people. But when I was using the awareness of source code, okay, these are the 12 coping styles and these are their antidotes, or where we want to get to when they're healed. When I was trying to work with the mind to heal these things, it would still take us years of seeing a client every week to really see the shifts. And it wasn't until I took the work public and I started teaching Zoom classes online about these coping styles and doing energetic embodiment practices to shift our energy and our embodiment now, that people started having these huge shifts that would normally take years within hours. And that taught me, wait a minute, this isn't about the mind. This isn't about psychology. This is about going into a layer deeper. Do you want me to explain a little more?
Yeah, please. I'm fascinated.
Yeah. So our minds are amazing and brilliant.
Yes. And
kind of fixed and stuck. And so when we try to work with the mind, there's a lot of defenses and a lot of going around in circles. And there's a layer of reality deeper than the mind, which I call the symbolic realm.
Okay, the symbolic realm. One layer deeper than the mind.
Yes. And some people call it the quantum field. And about 100 years ago, when Freud and his colleagues started talking about the unconscious, people thought he was a whack job. What do you mean there's this unseen part of ourselves that we can't feel or see or taste or touch or know or think about? It's not available to us, but it's there and it's running things.
Right. It's big. That's a big concept to understand.
Right.
Yeah.
But now everybody is duh, the unconscious, the unconscious, the
unconscious.
Right. So what source code is we've discovered that there's a layer even deeper than the unconscious, which is kind of basically in our first 5 years of life, we're raised inside of a symbolic landscape. Let's say our father's really absent and our mother's really intense, or our father's really controlling and our mother's really limp. Whatever kind of we're raised inside of, those symbols get encoded into our quantum field.
Okay, yes.
And those symbols run our lives, and we keep attracting and reenacting the same patterns, the same play.
Yeah.
And we can play any part in the play. If it's like a limp thing and a controlling thing, sometimes I'm limp, sometimes I'm controlling, sometimes I attract the controlling thing, sometimes right? But it's like we're always playing with these same symbols.
Symbols in some way, some form.
Yes. So you and I are going to do a little coding later.
I'm so excited. We're going to do some coding like live. Well, right here. It's going to be quite amazing.
Yeah. So coding is a new technique that I've developed, and I teach hundreds of coaches and therapists to do as well, that goes beyond the mind. It's not like coaching or therapy.
Okay.
It's working with the symbolic realm itself. So what we'll be doing is we'll be reflecting the symbols back to themselves. And there's some sort of like homeopathic alchemy that happens when we do that, where they're able to dissolve and resolve on their own. And then lo and behold, everything in our life completely shifts without having to think about it or muscle our way through it. It's like we've literally gone behind the matrix to the coding that's running our entire matrix of our experience, recoded it, and boop, we're in a different reality.
Wow.
So source code isn't aimed at changing our mind or changing our behavior. Source code is aimed at shifting the fabric of reality itself, which is
by
pretty
understanding,
wild.
by having an understanding of the symbols, and then it starts to dissolve on its own by becoming aware of them, or no? That's
What's weird is that stuff, awareness, understanding, that's still all the mind.
It doesn't matter.
No, in fact, sometimes our clients have no freaking clue what we're talking about, or what we're doing in a session, and they don't really need to.
And they don't need to.
No, because we're working with a different, deeper layer of reality. It doesn't require.
It doesn't. Okay, so I'm like wrapping my. It doesn't require participation. They don't have to be active. Like this could actually be a real great problem solver for many people who are like, I think that yes, that they might say, I don't want to go into like years of therapy, or I'm not into the psychedelic realm. I'm not into. But this is something where it's like doing that work. Would you call it them doing the work?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, they're doing the work.
Yeah.
But then is there, like, do you see kind of like a switch flip, or like, is there an understanding, or does it come over time?
So what happens in a coding session, and like you said, people who don't want to go blah, blah, blah and go into it and expose all their childhood wounding and circle on it forever. Source code is such a healthy alternative to that, because in a coding session, we only allow the client to talk about their problem for 1 minute.
No way.
At the top of the session. 1 minute. You have 1 minute to talk about your problem.
I'm already liking it.
Because your problem, whatever it is just one incarnation or concretization of the underlying symbolic code that runs you. And so once you tell me the specific problem in your life, we're going to say, okay, now we're not going to talk about that problem ever again. We're just going to talk about the code that's creating that problem.
Wow.
And when you do that, the code dissolves, and so does the problem, and so do all the other myriad problems in your life. They're the exact same coding, just in different manifestations. So we don't deal with the concrete at all.
Whoa.
I know, it's really wild.
It's wild.
And
I was thinking I was going to get ready, like, what am I going to pour my heart out about? I don't have to even get into it.
Don't pour your heart out
don't
here.
Pour
it's
my
not
heart
welcome.
out. Yeah, like, don't pour it out, but like...
Yeah, it's just not
it's
the vibe.
Not the vibe.
You know, think about how many times we go around in circles in coaching or therapy, and like... it doesn't really move the needle on our experience.
Wow.
So that's what I was going to say is in source code, we're not shifting, again, our minds. We're shifting what it feels like to be us. We're shifting our visceral reality.
The visceral reality of what it feels like right now to be us, to shed something, or to step into a new quantum field.
To create a new quantum field.
Create a new quantum field.
Yes, through our embodiment. Because what I've realized is whatever is visceral for us becomes real. It becomes manifest. And so I call it the visceral real. And so when we are in a certain embodiment, like, oh, I'm always limp, or oh, I'm so controlling, or whatever that embodiment is, we keep attracting and reenacting this. We keep calling in from the quantum field the same stories to match our embodiment. So during a coding session, your embodiment will shift.
Can you tell everyone, what does embodiment mean?
Sure. Embodiment is what it feels like to be you right now in your body. What does each breath feel like? What does your energy feel like? What is the charge or lack of charge? What is the posture? what is the character you're playing in your life? How does that land in your body? And that embodiment calls in a new world, or keeps recreating the old world if you stay in the old embodiment. At the core of a coding session, what you're going to feel is energy. Your energy will shift.
I am a deep believer in energy and movement and energy shifting. So this is very exciting and powerful.
It's
talking
really
to you
fun.
about this.
Yeah.
And you're having fun doing it.
I love it. It's a really
You love
sweet,
it? So
yeah.
like, how is this different than, let's say, the work you were doing now? And you know, I've seen you in action. You are powerful and it is meaningful. And also like, yeah, I can see you're having fun.
Yeah.
It's just so important.
Fun is such a big part of things, because if we think about the quantum, or if we understand that our embodiment creates our universe, right?
Embodiment creates our universe.
Everything is a fractal. Everything is interconnected, and everything is a pattern that repeats. So if we're doing work that's not fun, our universe is work that's not fun.
Yes.
So that just ripples out in all directions.
And then sends that energy out, which is like, then more people start to feel that not fun.
Exactly. So if my aim for you is to be someone who's standing in love and light and presence and joy, we got to start with love and light and presence and joy.
Love and light and presence and joy, which is actually pretty cool, because even before we started this session, like we like held hands and like set an intention of like connection and energy and love, and for that all to go out into the world. You know, like that is powerful. That is meaningful. And that is energy, right? Like that's the real stuff of what we're like, the magic we're creating to share.
Yeah. Right? And so much of us have gotten so caught up in the concrete world, the world that we can touch and smell and taste. And this is very real. It's as real as anything could be real.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's not real. It's illusion, which is what the Hindus have been saying for thousands of years.
Okay, can we talk about this? This is so interesting. As we were like prepping and talking before this, you said like, no, like I studied Hinduism at college or university. Like, wow, okay. How cool is this? And like, tell me more. And what drew you to this? Like, what a unique, like you chose this to study even.
Yeah.
As a full degree.
Yes, I got two. I was a double major in college in Eastern religion, Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism. Wow. And then cognitive science, which is like AI, robotics, computer science, neuroscience. So it's like where the brain meets, you know. So I basically studied consciousness from the East and from the West.
Oh, that's an amazing combination.
It was really cool, and it gave me the foundation. Then I went on to get my PhD in psychology. But I've held with me all these Eastern mystic concepts that have really infused themselves into what I do with source code.
How did they present themselves in your life? Like, how did the like spiritual or the mystical, how did that come about? Like, was that always in your life growing up?
Not even close.
Not even close.
No. When I got to college, I enrolled in 4 like 101 classes, just like kind of throw a dart at them, I'll try psychology, sociology, philosophy, and Eastern religion. Never heard of it. I'll try that. What is that? I don't know. I wasn't raised with religion, Western or Eastern. And I was just curious. It just seemed, some instinct told me. And then actually, 3 weeks into college, my boyfriend died.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I was devastated. And my college, Vassar, was really, really generous. And they said, listen, we'll let you stay here and drop down to just 1 class. And if you don't do well in it, we won't even count it toward your, grades. Wow. We just want you to feel you have a home here and that something can keep you stimulated.
So
isn't that sweet?
Supportive. That's amazing. Like there should be more of that in the world.
Right? And so I was like, they were like, which one of those 4 classes you've only had 2 classes each of, do you want to stay in? And I was like, I think that Eastern religion one felt really good. Let me say, so imagine being demolished, kind of like how Pema Chodron talks about like when things fall apart or the places that scare you. I was devastated. And in that raw space, I was learning how to walk mindfully by reading Thich Nhat Hanh. I was reading the Tao Te Ching. I was learning about Brahman and Atman and the creation of the universe, things I had never even heard of. And every drip of it felt like home. I was like, just drinking it all in.
Wow.
Like, whoa.
It's like a gift. It was a gift.
It was all, yeah. Sometimes shadow brings the biggest gifts.
Yes, like sometimes in the darkness we find the brightest lights.
Absolutely.
And so that was something that you were going through the pain, but it also brought you to see that there's hope, or there's something to help you understand what was happening.
Yeah, I don't know if I understood it any better, but I definitely was held by, again, that embodiment of working with my breath or practicing yoga or seeing how small my human life is in the dance of creation and destruction, like Brahma and Shiva, right? And yeah, so it just, it felt like an embodied shift.
It was an embodied shift happening to you right there, which, did you realize at the time?
I just knew that I was obsessed with getting my hands on everything I could about Hinduism and Taoism and just slurping it all up.
And just like, I'm all in.
I was all
With
in.
no background, but saying like, this something about this is drawing me so close. And then immersing yourself in it in your life.
I have been harvesting this work, source code, for the last 13 years.
Yes.
But when I was in the context of psychology, all of the therapists that I trained to do this work could not then give me the gift of doing the work on me, because there are very intense rules and laws and ethics about no dual relationships within that field.
Yes.
So it wasn't until parting ways with the field of psychology that my trainees are now able to do the work on me. So it's been 1 year of being coded by someone incredible on my team, actually a couple people on my team that I call solvents, because we dissolve, resolve, and solve, right?
Could you repeat that? That's so cute.
Yes. We dissolve brittle defenses, resolve childhood wounding, and solve recurring problems.
Beautiful.
So I have about 10 solvents on staff,
Wow.
and they've been doing the work on me. So much has shifted for me since being coded. I was also going through financial instability because, I had my private practice as a psychologist for 18 years, and I had 8 therapists working for me at the start of COVID.
That's a big practice, actually.
Yeah, it was
huge.
Beautiful. And it all fell apart with COVID, as most, people's things do. And as I pivoted to be in that online space and teaching source code to the public, it was rocky, like Instagram and how do you market things. And for the first 3 years of it, I was like, nothing's working that well. I'm in break-even mode.
Right.
And
even
then,
with all this training and education and experience and like feeling like I'm just breaking even, something's not feeling aligned.
yes. And so then they started coding me on that, and then bloop, there's the finances, like just came into place. It's like, it's all coding. Like every circumstance in our lives is just a manifestation of our coding.
Wow. Yeah. So
It's wild.
powerful.
It
So
is.
powerful, but you're like experiencing it. And so needing to also shift out of that traditional realm
Yes.
and step into a new way, like the source code, a new way of thinking and operating and like helping heal, stepping into the quantum.
Yeah. And I find, because you asked earlier, do you have any advice for entrepreneurs? And
Yes.
for me, it's like having to take that leap and be brave enough to walk my talk. Because when I try to run my business from pushing, forcing, efforting my will, my ego, like, it just doesn't go.
Slows it down.
And when I just like relax into my feminine embodiment and trust the quantum and like create through my energy and my intention, all this stuff just shows up and works for me. And I'm doing almost no effort. I'm literally going on vacation, and Carissa just shows up and is like, yeah, I'm going to run this, and this of your business that you don't even know how to do. I'm like, great. It just keeps happening over and over, where
Like just being open. So so like as an entrepreneur, and you were finding that you were being blocked, but now after having done source code, now you're feeling like I'm open, it's in flow, and things are just presenting themselves.
Exactly.
And it's the right thing.
right.
Right? Like even when we met, we were like, I was like, I just seen you talk and do some source code work. And I was like, wow, you're so fantastic. And we met at a smoothie bar, and we were like, oh, I love your energy. This is so fun. And we talked for like a while. And then suddenly we were sharing contact info because I was like, you're so cool. And then we realized, oh, wait, we were supposed to meet actually because a mutual friend, Carissa, had said, you guys need to meet. And we hadn't made the effort to meet yet, but the universe brought us together, the quantum brought us together.
Absolutely.
To meet. And then, in fact, 30 minutes later, the exact same thing happened between you and my husband, Shared. So
Yeah, it's wild.
it's just wild.
So many synchronicities start happening. And I love how you said I was blocked in business, because I was.
Right.
And I
But
love
everything was aligned, like everything should have been working.
except
but
my own shit was in the way. My coping styles
coping styles were blocking.
were blocking it. Specifically, my omnipotent, which was trying to push and force my will,
Okay.
and my frustrated, which was things staying stuck and me kind of unconsciously self-sabotaging.
Oh.
And so it was in recoding those and becoming safe and becoming in flow, which is what you said, which is the antidote to frustrated, that all of a sudden now my business is blooming and working for me, and I'm just receiving it and not forcing it and not staying stagnant, but like flowing and receiving and allowing.
So flowing, receiving, and allowing. And how does your life feel different now?
Oh my gosh. I'm going on vacations, which I never did.
You didn't go on vacations before?
I just was working all the time, like every day, pretty much trying to like grind and hustle and get this thing off the ground.
Right.
And, I'm just sleeping like a baby, and my schedule is greatly reduced and my income is greatly increased. And I'm just like, wow, this is
This feels
it.
good.
This is it.
And so, we talk about emotions, and like, what role does love play in your world and in your work?
Oh my God, that's couldn't be a better question. So part of why I don't identify as a psychologist is that in that clinical field, love is like a 4-letter word. They think love is something bad and dangerous, something that can't happen between patients and doctors.
Okay, right. Yeah.
Right? But in my experience, love is the core healing function. And so that's the ethos of Source Code is, even though, yes, there's a formula, there's categories, there's a masculine aspect of like a coding session has an arc of 6 different phases and there are 12 categories, etc. But beyond that, the field of unconditional love, unconditionally welcoming, empathizing, loving, holding, like beaming love into the client is actually what's healing them. The love is healing them,
I love that you're saying this too, because if I think about it, when I work with a counselor, which I, always have a counselor, or my husband and I work with counselors, the ones that I feel the shift are the ones that I feel love for and loved by. And I think that's interesting that, in the traditional sense of psychology, that you're not supposed to feel that love. And so then how are you supposed to connect? Like even right now, I feel the love between us, but if you were to feel guilty as, let's say, a psychologist, or if I was to feel guilty that we can't have this love,
Exactly.
then how do you feel safety? How do you heal? How do you trust?
Yeah. I think there's a different kind of safety within the clinical field. I don't want to say it's all bad. And it was the foundation that made me.
Yes.
The safety is like more of that like stern father, like I've got you.
Yes.
I'm never going to drop you. I'm never going to betray your confidence.
Yes.
I'm going to show up on time for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to be consistent with you. There is a safety in psychotherapy.
Right.
There really is.
Yeah.
But there's also a stagnancy of such a split. Like I'm the authority, you're the patient.
Yeah. Separation.
You're the sick one, I'm the well one.
Yeah.
You're never going to get to feel my insides ever.
No. It's like you can't, even as a therapist, you're not supposed to share your stuff.
No.
Right.
You'll never really feel me.
No.
So you'll live in this kind of lonely echo chamber. And yet we're supposed to be teaching you how to be relational.
Oh.
It's like, it's just kind of a little bit of a
Disconnect.
Yeah, just a bit. I mean, listen, there are plenty of amazing therapists out there doing amazing work.
Yes.
And I do feel it's a limiting frame. There's so much good in it, and there was so much good intention in it, but I feel it's a limiting frame that in some ways keeps things stuck.
And like, how beautiful to have a world where we can even think of greater expansion and new, like, we were at TED, new ideas. Let's keep coming up with something new and new experiences, and then see how we can like grow, right? How can we learn? How can we expand? And then what do you see? Like, what do you see in your, do you call them clients?
Yeah.
What do you
sure.
see like as shifts in your clients?
What I see is that people shift really quickly and really effortlessly. And in fact, that's the biggest feedback we get is this feels like too good to be true.
Got it.
Like, how is it that I don't even necessarily know what we're up to, and yet the thing I've been waiting for 10 years is now here, effortlessly. All of our life experiences start to shift to meet us in the new story. We don't have to like push or force in any way. We just relax into the new embodiment, and then the partner we've always wanted, the money we've always needed, the career shift we've always longed for, the friendship and support we've been longing for. It's all there.
It's all there.
Like, wait, how did that happen? What world am I in? How did I get here? It's like a portal
It's
to
almost
another
like-
dimension, actually.
Like unbelievable, right? I like it. I love it. I feel it. And so as we start to wrap up, because we're going to start to experience this firsthand, the source code, do you have any piece of advice for our viewers, for our listeners on, like, what does it take to do this work? Or like, how do we explore our inner worlds more deeply?
Yeah, sure. So when people are doing the work, there's lots of different like layers and levels to the work. And in my experience, source code is a pretty deep level of it. And so sometimes it can be a little bit confronting to see the core of our core patterns. And so if you feel ready to see the patterns that have been running you, this is the perfect modality for it. And it's very gentle and it's very loving, but can be confronting. And I would say the best place to start would be to go to my website.
Great.
And to take the free quiz where you learn your top coping style.
Great.
And then if you want to, there's like an $11 course to dig deeper into your coping style and learn more about it, get a guided meditation from me, how to start exiting it and shifting into the new frequency, new energy. Yeah.
I love it. And then you also offer like training, like coaching on how to become.
Yeah. So many different courses. So we have a 12-week coping styles intensive where you can learn about all 12 coping styles, where they came from in childhood, what they look like as adults. And then we do juicy, energetic embodiment practices to shift them in the here and now. And in that course, you start to heal yourself, and you also start to better understand the people in your life, because we also talk about if someone else has this coping style, how to relate with them better. Then I'd have a 9-month program where people can learn how to become coders.
Cool.
How to do a coding session, which you're about to see what that looks like.
Amazing.
And then I also have a team of solvents, like we said, who do one-on-ones with people.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, firstly, like, thank you for taking this time to talk to us. And I'm really excited to shift some reality and just dive into some healing quantum experience.
Can't wait.
We're going to have an experience, a source code experience with Dr. Sam Rader. I'm very, first of all, excited.
Okay,
Tell
great.
us
So we're going to
everything.
do like a miniature coding session today. Your job is to just tell me about a problem.
Okay.
Any problem in your life. It could be big or small. It could be personal, circumstantial, relational, emotional. It doesn't really matter what the problem is, because the problem is going to show me the portal to your coding. It could be the most basic thing, but it's the way you talk about the problem that shows me the coding beneath the problem. And so I'm going to take furious notes as you talk about your problem, only for 1 minute, remember?
Okay,
This is not,
1 minute.
It's not like therapy. You're not going to be
not.
waxing poetic about your problem. Just a minute, just so I can get the flavor of it. And then once I write it down, I'm going to need a minute to circle the keywords so that I can see what the coding is of that problem. And then we're going to drop into a very liminal space together. And you mentioned psychedelics earlier, and source code is a psychedelic medicine. It doesn't require the ingestion of any substances, but people say, whoa, am I on MDMA? Am I on ayahuasca? We're going to drop into that symbolic realm that you go into on psychedelics.
Wow.
And we're going to do that because I'm going to start speaking in intentionally vague symbolic language, and I'm going to be mirroring the coding back to itself. And when we stay with that, the first half of a coding session is a little bit uncomfortable because we don't try to fix it or change it in any way.
Okay.
We just mirror the coding back to itself.
Okay.
And when we stay with it, this homeopathic alchemical process happens where the code starts to dissolve and resolve on its own. And a lifelong feeling in your body or embodiment will start to shift on its own without us having to do anything.
Wow.
And once we do that, you're returned to a state of neutrality. And from there, we can write together sort of a new line of code or a new visceral reality so that your entire life can be in a new story. Part of the process also is often this thing that I call the hall of mirrors, where you're going to start going, oh my God, that pattern, it's there, it's there, it's there, it's there, it's there, it's there, it's from childhood. You're going to start seeing that.
Wow.
That's great.
Wow.
But we don't want to stay in any of those stories, because when we stay at the level of the story or the concrete, it keeps us at the surface of things. We want to stay down in that symbolic level. But if you start to see the pattern where it shows up, you can say that, no problem. But we're not going to go into any of those stories. We're just going to come back to the symbols so they can dissolve and resolve.
Wow. Okay. Well, I think this sounds amazing. I'm quite excited, and I'm a little nervous. I'm going to be honest.
You get to just tell me any problem, big or small.
Okay.
Doesn't
Any
really
problem.
matter.
It doesn't
Anything
matter.
at all. It will show me exactly what the issue is.
I think I'll talk about, I had just had this conversation yesterday, and it's like sometimes I feel like there's a block to me focusing on like the things I wish to achieve or my dreams. And in fact, like sometimes I think like maybe I don't really dream, or I encourage others to dream, but then there's something in me that is keeping me more realistic, or encouraging others like go for this and dream big and live big. And then, when it comes to myself, I don't, my brain, maybe my brain just doesn't go to those places as easily. Like, I don't think I really dreamt of like, what am I going to be, or what am I going to do, or how am I going to, like, I do have the feeling of like, yes, I want to change the world for the better. I want to add to the world. I want to add like positive vibrations into the world, and like go towards consciousness and happiness and love. But then the things that I want to do to achieve that, sometimes I'm like, oh, you're so slow, or why is it taking forever, or why are you not focused on helping those things become a reality? So it's almost like I feel like I hold myself back. I'm my biggest block.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So I just need a minute to circle the keywords,
Okay.
and let's see what we've got.
That was cool. It was pretty easy.
Yeah, and do you have any sense of what would happen if you did dream big and did the big thing?
I kind of feel nervous right now even thinking about that. Like something in my chest just felt like, oh, I don't know. Maybe I don't know how. Maybe I don't know how to do it well. Maybe, what if it didn't happen? What if, I guess, like, what if I failed at it? And what if I'm not good enough to achieve it? I don't know. And then maybe I even just block even thinking about a dream. I don't know. I'm not sure why it doesn't.
Great. Great. So give me 1 second to write down all the coping styles I see here.
Okay. Oh, you already see them.
What'd you say?
You already see some coping styles.
Oh, I see them instantly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's weird. That's how this work works. It's fast. I see all the patterns, right?
I spent many years working through things. I love that you see that immediately.
And tell me more about not focused, what that looks like for you.
So very like focused on like doing a million things in life. So very busy all the time. I'm a mom of 2, so like making sure that my children's lives are very fulfilled and happy and interesting, and they're learning and growing. That my partnership in business, but also in 2 businesses, Human Biography and Women of Wonder, is like, cared for, but also like we're also very socializing a lot, out. So then I think the things like, sometimes my list of to-dos become a bunch of things that might not necessarily be leading me closer to my goals. But it's like also lots of fun. I'm having a lot of fun. But I think fun's important. But amidst that, where is that focus on certain things, which I think could be fun as I'm achieving it too, but sometimes that becomes a little bit, lower on the list.
Okay, great. So far, I see 6 things.
Okay.
And that's a totally normal number to see at this point.
Okay.
Because
I think it's,
even though there's only 12 coping styles, if you think about music, there's only 12 notes on a scale, and you can write infinite songs from that. So the way your particular coping styles have married together are creating the old melody for your life. So I see all the chords and how they're going together. And so from here on out, things are going to get a little trippy.
Okay.
We're not going to think about work anymore.
No. Okay.
We're not going to think about achievements anymore.
Okay.
We're taking it out of the concrete and into the symbolic.
Okay.
Okay, so we're just going to drop in where there's been this confusing thing about bigness. Just let's feel that for a minute. And I don't think I mentioned this to the camera yet, which is that most of a coding session is silent. That's where the work happens. There's something so confusing about bigness.
It's almost like thought that like bigger is better. But it doesn't necessarily have to be. And then what came to mind also is like, whose standards am I measuring success on or achievement on?
And these are really great thoughts to muse about.
But thoughts.
They're thoughts.
Okay, don't go to thoughts.
Yeah. So we actually just want to drop into more of like a symbolic, dreamlike state, which is kind of like, imagine the cartoon version of, there's this big thing, this big blob of energy, right? But the bigness doesn't get to be inside. The bigness only gets to be outside.
The bigness of?
The blob of bigness, that symbol. So we want to take it out of the concrete.
Okay.
And into the symbolic realm where there's a knowing about bigness and actually kind of a focus on bigness. But the bigness only gets to be outside. Other things get to be big. But the inside doesn't get to be big. We just want to feel that. And what do you notice now?
It almost felt like something like big coming up and like out. So like big is out here.
Yeah. Big doesn't get to be in here. It's out there. It's okay out there. It gets encouraged. It gets cared for out there. But it really feels like bigness doesn't get to be in here, inside.
Do I ask questions about this or?
Sure, what's the question?
Like, am I like picturing the bigness, or am I feeling the bigness? Like, am I to, or just allow myself to kind of whatever bigness means?
That's such a great question. I always have a hard time describing the symbolic realm because it's so weird. But I think a combination of feeling it and picturing it, like you're in the cartoon of it. So feeling how inside there's this wish for bigness, but things don't get to be big. And on the outside, there's all this knowing of bigness, supporting, encouraging, caring for the big things out there. But somehow inside has to stay small. It doesn't get to be big. The bigness gets to be outside, nurtured, fed, encouraged, cared for, out there, tended to. These big things that just get bigger. But the inside doesn't get to be tended to, doesn't get to be nourished or get big.
I think that's true.
What's coming up for you?
So even that word, like nourishing the insides, is probably something that doesn't always happen. Becomes more at the bottom of the list.
Yeah. Yeah. And things that don't get fed can't really grow big and strong.
Wow. Can't get big and strong. It's not being nourished. So like, if not caring for myself, then how could I expect that I can grow and be healthy and
Yeah. And if we can keep it in the symbolic realm, the work will be even deeper. And you're right there. You're at the perfect spot.
Okay.
But we just want to talk about insides and outsides and big things and little things, because it's going to be, the work will go quicker and deeper if we're not at the layer of mind.
Okay, so
I know that's wild.
it's so wild. So don't try to get into the story.
No stories.
No stories.
Stories keep us stuck.
Let's keep us stuck, because then it's that pattern. So it's the outside is where the big is.
Yes.
The inside, there's no big.
Right.
But
there's a wish for big.
There's a wish for big.
Yes.
And then there's no nourishment inside.
Right.
Because everything's going to the outside.
Right.
So going to the outside, not going inside.
Right.
Inside's going to stay weak.
Right.
And depleted.
Right.
Even though the wish is inside to be vibrant and
to be radiant and erect and potent, impactful, expressed, free, whole. But it's felt wrong somehow to let the insides get big.
It's felt wrong to let the insides get big.
Yeah, in so many ways, in 6 different ways that I have written down here, actually, and how they work together. But it really feels like, even when you were saying the I stuff, you said, I would care for myself instead of just I caring for everyone else. But it's still like, wow, the inside's always the place that care comes from. As opposed to
like doing it.
Allowing the outsides to nurture and care for the insides.
Could you repeat that?
Yeah. So there's this sense that I'm either going to have to care for them or care for myself. But the source of the care is always inside.
It doesn't have to be a choice.
So what we're shifting into is that the care could actually come from outside and nourish the insides.
The care can come from outside and nourish the inside.
Let's just feel into that. that all that care, all that nurturing and encouragement could come from outside and go in.
So my brain's trying to go into like, well, where would that come from? But that's more mental, right? So
It is more mental, but it tells us a lot about your childhood. It's so unfamiliar to be cared for. And we just want to feel that. So confusing how the nurturing could come from outside and reach the insides and allow the insides to fill up on juicy care and nourishment.
so interesting. I had done some work recently. I'm getting into story, but where I started blocking the love. I didn't receive it. I didn't know how to feel it. At like 7 or something. So the care can come from the outside.
Yeah. That the love didn't feel like the right kind of love or the safe kind of love. And so it didn't get to go in. And so the idea of love coming in and nourishing and helping something grow big and strong inside feels really unfamiliar so far.
That's so true.
Yeah, so let's just feel that, honey. So unfamiliar. All the love and care only goes out. It's so confusing that it would go in. So confusing where to even look for it. And what's this feeling?
It's like kind of like a shock or almost disappointment that to have, be 47 and not know how to receive or feel the love.
And it's so natural. It's so natural because all of us that don't get that kind of love learn how to not need it and not let it in. That was actually the most healthy, adaptive thing you could do as a little one, is learn how to block it. Because it wasn't a good kind of love. It was all mixed up with other stuff that felt bad. And because there really wasn't enough of it either. And so it would have just, the longing for it would have felt too bad. So becoming the thing that doesn't need,
Yeah.
and being the one that fulfills all the outside need, has become the identity.
The giver.
Yes. The giver who stays small inside,
Yeah.
while nurturing and allowing things to grow big outside.
Yeah.
Let's just feel that. We're not going to fix it or change it. We're just going to feel it.
It hurts.
Yeah, it really hurts. It really does. It's actually not okay. It's not okay that all the care goes out and none of the care goes in. That is not okay. That is not a fair and balanced equation. What's happening for you now?
It's almost like I feel kind of guilty for allowing myself to feel like that all those years, like to not have figured out, like, hey, let in some love or receive or feel the nurturing.
Yeah, I can really empathize with that part that wants to like judge this pattern, but if we could really have some reverence for the sanctity of this coping style or this combination of coping styles, that when the love is tainted with the bad, it's really healthy to learn how to not need it and not receive it. It was a really healthy, natural, appropriate thing to do. So let's just feel that for a minute. It was the smartest, most adaptive, most elegant thing you could have done, is to learn how to close those openings, to not need, to not feed, and to not trust things coming in from outside.
That was my only option.
Yes. So thank God you figured out how to do that. And become the feeder, not the fed. Become the encourager of things getting big outside. And keeping the self very small, undernourished. Because it's felt so confusing that anything good could come in and nourish. It hasn't felt right. And what's happening now?
It's almost like thinking that, like, well, it's like, funny that I asked, like, where would it come from?
Yeah.
So, like, not trusting
Yeah.
and that things can come in, that I can feel it.
Should we try that now?
Okay.
Because I think you'll have to check it out. But I think the outsides right now, which would be me and my home and my kitties, are something that hold a kind of love that might be able to go in. Yeah. And that swallowing is really good because we're actually awakening your spiritual digestive tract. So the more you can kind of taste the sweetness on your tongue of this love that's here for you as your universe in the shape of me right now, and really taste the love, swallow it, and suckle, and allow yourself to drink in that care that's felt so elusive and confusing. We're allowing you to become the one who feeds, not just the one who does the feeding. We're shifting your embodiment now.
Drinking in the love.
How does that feel?
Feels brighter. It feels like warm and The love here feels very safe and true.
I'm so glad. Yeah, and just feel that warmth. Where do you feel that inside?
It's like I feel warmth in my chest.
Yes.
I kind of feel like more bright around my head.
Yes. So see if you can keep drinking and keep swallowing until it passes through the heart and down into the stomach. Now the stomach is just below the rib cage on the left side. And we want to start to feel that that part is filling up with care. Really drinking in until you start to feel the warmth go all the way down into your stomach. Has any part of it started to kiss the stomach?
Yeah.
Yeah, what does it feel like in there?
Feels like it's warm.
Oh, yummy. So let's just feel that warm, full feeling in the stomach. Ah, being nourished, being fed, being resourced. Filling up on that infinite source from the universe, that never-ending well of care that's always available. Just noticing what's happening inside. And noticing the relationship between digesting the good and growing bigger and stronger. Things that are undernourished and under-resourced can't grow big and strong.
How did I even grow to this size?
I know, you're a fucking miracle given, how little gets in. You're doing fucking great. But yeah, just can you start to feel like something might be able to get a little bit bigger inside? I'm really noticing your posture's so much more erect now.
It's like I already feel stronger.
Yeah. And your heart is so much more open. Did something just happen when Sherrod came in?
Yeah, it's like almost like I was like, ah.
Exactly. All of a sudden, the big thing was outside again.
Yeah.
And the inside couldn't be big.
Yeah, I had to I felt like, oh, I've got to put my, like a shield up or something to be like, oh wait, somebody seeing me, which many people are going to see me, but like somebody seeing me do this, like nourishing of self or caring for self or like
Being nourished
being
by the
nourished
universe
by
and
the
by me.
universe, like accepting it.
Yeah.
It's almost like,
And growing big, your shoulders started to go down your back, your neck started to lengthen. You started to become erect. Really beautiful, really radiant, really powerful. But something about being big like that has made things feel nervous about being big.
yeah.
So there's a squashing or a folding.
Like I can see, like I'm even like my fingers feel nervous.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
Yep.
It's like, don't
Yep.
be
Don't be big.
Don't be big.
Yep. So let's just feel that. That even when we take the risk to be nourished, there's still another layer of, but then if I'm big, will that threaten the outside thing?
Like it's bad.
Yeah, it's bad to be big.
Like somebody might judge it or just.
well, there's that part too, right? That maybe things would do something wrong or fail, be judged, be attacked. So there's all these ways that bigness has not felt okay.
Yeah.
Getting nourished hasn't felt okay. Being erect and radiant hasn't felt okay. Being free and fully expressed hasn't felt okay. And it's all been really blocked.
Yeah. Such a natural, boom, block it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're just feeling now in real time how it's easy to get pulled back into the old embodiment when the new embodiment hasn't fully gotten integrated yet.
Yeah. Almost like it's not comfortable to receive.
Yeah, really only the outside things should receive.
Yeah.
The
That's like,
inside, yeah.
the outside makes sense.
Yeah,
Give,
right.
love.
Right.
But to drink in the love, I was like, oh, I'm so dry. It's hard to
Yeah.
drink.
Yeah.
It's hard to drink in the love.
Yeah.
It's hard to accept the love.
At first,
At
there's that
first.
dryness. And then things started to get warm, creamy and nourishing. And the more the insides got nourished, the more things started to naturally grow big and strong inside. Yeah. And all of a sudden, this radiance just starts to emit from the core. There's a part that starts to stand taller, shine brighter. And be every bit as big as the outside things. Really able to stand eye to eye and heart to heart with everybody else, equally as big. Yeah, that's beautiful. And really feeling and reclaiming that the authority is inside, not a judge outside. That inner authority.
The authority is inside, not a judge outside.
Let's feel that one. So that nothing outside gets to decide if the insides are good or bad, right or wrong. The inside is inherently good and innocent and can be free to express. Express life force in the way that life force wants to be expressed, without any blocks, but really being in flow and solid. Supported. Resourced. Nourished. Erect. And free.
Well, So it's like I started picturing this like light, like shining down on me, like this white light,
Yeah.
and like fully coming over my whole body. And it's like a heart light, like a white heart light.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait, love can just pour onto me?
Yes.
What?
Yep.
And then the saliva started flowing.
We got it. We got it. Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, there was this trio of coping styles blocking the feeding. I call them withholding, premature, and deprived. And you just found the antidote to all three.
Whoa.
Yeah, now you know how to feed.
Wow.
And all that love gets to bathe you and go inside. So you're fully resourced, fully nourished. You get to be open to love. Yeah, what's this emotion, honey?
It's like I'm so grateful. I'm so happy to feel love. And like it was like a lot of love. And I
Yeah.
wasn't stopping it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't blocking it. I was just like letting it come in.
Yeah.
Which is not what I'm used to.
Of course, my love. This is what we do. We shift the embodiment.
And like feeling it, and then my saliva's flowing. And I was like,
Yeah.
wait a second, it's all coming in, and like I'm drinking it, I'm feeling it, the light, I see it. And I could see like it was a love, it was a heart shape.
Yeah. Oh. And this is why people say, am I on ayahuasca?
It's like, that's right, you're right. Like the senses all kind of just took it in. And I feel like it's almost like this new experience of, oh, that's what it can feel like. And then it can like, it can pour in, that like love can pour in. That's pretty foreign to me, but now I can, and also I can open myself to it.
Yes, you can open your openings to love. So the love can flow in and you can be resourced and nourished.
So I can be resourced and nourished.
Yes.
So like I also get to be resourced and nourished.
Yes. And you get to be just as big as everybody else.
I get to be just as big as everyone else and feel big, feel love.
This is who you really are.
What a shift.
Holy motherfucking shift.
Holy motherfucking shift.
Yeah. So that other version, that other embodiment was just a jumble of defense mechanisms from
All the
childhood.
defense mechanisms from childhood, like.
Yeah. So with source code, we get to dissolve and resolve lifelong defenses.
Yeah.
In an hour or less.
Or less. That's very powerful. And fascinating that this lesson was starting to open up to me, but I still wasn't sure how to actually feel the love. And then in the work with you, now just physically, so that's embodiment. I embodied the love.
Yeah.
And then that me seeing the light, seeing the shape, saliva flowing suddenly,
Yes,
like it all just kind of like, that's embodiment in the body. That's embodiment in the body. So I just felt it. I experienced it. And now it's with me.
Now it's the new you, baby.
Now it's the new me.
You're in a new
the
visceral
new me.
reality.
This is my new visceral, because like I have had a taste now. Oh, love.
Yeah, and you know, the saints and sages say now is all there is. So you're already in the new world right now.
This is the new
This is it.
shift. This is the reality shift. This is
You're
the
here.
quantum
You've arrived.
leap.
Yeah. It was that easy.
It was that easy.
And now you're in the world and where you can be big and you can be loved and you can be nourished, right? Yeah. And everything in your universe is going to show up and meet you in this new story. Unexpected opportunities, support, love, nourishment, nurturing, care, ease. It's all just going to happen for you because you're now the one who is loved, the one who is fed, the one who is nourished, the one who is radiant and erect, the one who is free and fully expressed. This is you now. You're not bound by those childhood woundings anymore.
Wow. So this is my new reality.
Yes. And if you ever slip back into the old embodiment, because things can, as you saw during our session, pull us back.
Yeah.
Watch this video.
Wow.
I always record all my client sessions on an app called Rader, and I send them the recording. And it's like, if you feel pulled back to the old embodiment, just put the recording on, and it'll bring you right back.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So now you get to live a very different life.
Well, I'm pretty excited about living a different life because that felt like a very powerful shift.
Yeah.
And I knew that lesson was there somewhere, but I didn't know how to feel it.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, with coaching and therapy, we talk about stuff.
Yeah.
And again, that doesn't really move the needle on our experience because we're staying in our minds, we're staying in the story, and it doesn't shift the embodiment or the visceral reality or the energy. And so you just had a perfect taste of what it is to shift the energetic field, the quantum field, the symbolic landscape of your reality.
Wow. And I didn't necessarily, I was like, I hope I can be a good client right now. But it's like I didn't have to put pressure on myself. It happened.
That's the thing with source code is with psychology, there's so much defense and resistance. And in source code, we go under the defenses to the quantum field. So there's nothing to resist.
Right.
And like you said, is my problem going to be good enough? And I said, it could be the most basic nothing problem. Yes. And it's going to take us right to your code, right? Because it does every time. So there's no such thing as there's very few people that aren't compatible with source code for varying reasons, but it's very few. Pretty much almost anyone can go this deep, this quickly, and feel this resolved in an hour.
That was super deep. And I was concerned, what do I share? And I'm sharing publicly, and what am I going to say? But it didn't matter. It didn't matter.
Yeah, because also we didn't really have to get into the details.
Don't need the details. It's just, that's why you're even saying, don't need the story. You just share something, and the answers are all there. So you shifted the symbol. You looked at the symbols and shifted. And I feel good. I feel like something is open. And I feel the love. I felt the love. Thank you. Oh. I'm so happy. Beautiful. Thank you. So beautiful. Oh, it's so magical.
Freeing souls from these lifelong invisible prisons that hold us stuck.
Yes.
And that's what source code does, is it just dissolves and resolves that. It's so gentle. It's like a gentle ego death. Very, very gentle.
So gentle.
So gentle. Gentle's the only way, in my opinion.
Sometimes I do very hard work.
See, that's the thing. Very hard work. Yeah, people keep telling me, you need to make source code harder because people won't buy into it because no one thinks you can get anything from something easy. But I'm like, do I need to pretend that it's harder? It's actually really easy. That's what the quantum is it's instant, it's easy, it's gentle. If it's not quantum. That's the thing.
That was very gentle and nourishing and opening, uplifting, and it felt very safe, but also I felt the shift. I felt and I did not expect that. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I felt it.
It's very predictable and formulaic, weirdly, even though it's so psychedelic.
Yeah, I could see it.
Source code is a very predictable, formulaic format to do code. To learn how to do a coding session is, these are the 6 phases and this is what you do. And yet the mystery unfolds. It's so mystical. It's such a mystical psychedelic experience, but it's so held by a masculine frame of knowing exactly what we're going to do, so that it's so much more precise and has so much more aim than other psychedelics.
It's this visceral, this physical, this feeling, and then to see it, I don't usually, it's seeing something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to forget that vision.
I'm so happy.
So I feel like this is going to remind me. So thank you. I love it.
I love you.
I love you.
It would be cool even to talk again.
Yeah. Oh.
Maybe do a Zoom or something where you tell me in a couple weeks or a week, what are all the shifts you're experiencing? Because it's kind of mystical what starts to happen. So
I have tingles. I'm so excited. We'll share this in the future. We'll have another. Wow. Well, thank you. I just want to say thank you so much. Dr. Sam Rader just did a amazing, amazing experience. And also, thank you for joining us and experiencing this. And I can already feel your love of being supportive in this experience. So may we all experience these quantum shifts and healing.
Yeah. And just
love.
to say, the audience, people often have the experience of being coded by watching a coding session. So it's, if you feel like you're having a psychedelic experience right now, if you're crying, if you're feeling shifts, that's beautiful. You just got a free coding session. Enjoy it and savor it, and maybe listen to it again and let it shift your life too. It can be this easy.
Thank you, Dr. Sam Rader, and also thank you, Source Code, and thank you, everyone. So much love. Love to all.